Welcome to the only talk show hosted by the lovable legend, Bigfoot.
Hello, and welcome to episode 40 of My Name is Bigfoot, and you are, sir?
I am Matt Batt Banning.
What brings you to Washington State?
I'm actually originally from the area, and I've never attended the show in Seattle. And so I thought I'd come up and check out what was going on. And it's also a chance to reconnect with people up here, since I actually went to Franklin High School my senior year.
Oh, nice. How did you get into art in the first place?
Well, I always drew. Up until my teens, I drew more like rockets and fighters, and I was more interested in aeronautics and space travel, actually.
Okay.
And then in around 8th grade, a buddy of mine introduced me to comic books, and we actually had a competition, see who could make the better comic book. And I won our little, personal competition between the two of us, and basically from that point, I just never stopped.
Did you ever get into like AutoCAD or drafting or architectural design? Because with you being into aeronautical.
Well, when I was in high school and junior high, I took lots of like drafting classes. I would take wood shop so then I could take the drafting part of it.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So yeah, there was that aspect to it. But once I got to art school, there wasn't so much of that. But it definitely helped out. Because doing the architectural drawings or like mechanical drawings, you had to learn basic perspective and things because people want to see exploded images.
Right.
Not just the thing altogether. So.
What was your first published piece ever? Like whether it was in a newsletter or?
My first published piece was actually for the comic shop fanzine in Vancouver.
Okay.
They used to run a fanzine when I was a teenager, and they would run fan art from people in the neighborhood. It was like 4 or 5 pages, I think maybe even printed out on a photocopier. And that was the first thing I submitted to, and they would run my stuff from time to time, and that was a big treat for me. And it did help me, like, okay, maybe I am on to something. So that's my first, amateur work.
What school did you go to?
I went to the Joe Kubert School in Dover, New Jersey. I didn't finish, but I went there to get work, and I was getting work, so I was fortunate. I started. DC gave me a job as an inking assistant on Superman when I was 19, and I've never had any other job since.
Now, would you consider yourself a penciler, an inker?
I'd consider myself. I'm an inker professionally. Know how to pencil a little bit, and these days, inflicted on people with private commissions.
How would you describe your style?
I like my art like I like my beats, wet and bouncy.
Do you have any inspirations that you admire, different art styles? Whether it's comic or non?
Yeah, I try to be as much of a sponge as I can. Because once you kind of lose that's when your art starts to atrophy. I like things like Gustave Doré, but then also when it comes to comics, I had my fair dose of Alan Davis and Mark Farmer back in the day. As far as inking inspiration goes, Mark Farmer was the first. And then guys like Terry Austin and Scott Williams and Jim Lee. I tend to, for instance, right now, I'm looking at a lot of Caravaggio, actually.
Okay.
Because I like the heavy shadows.
Yeah, it's super heavy. Yeah, no, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, though. What was your favorite childhood superhero, that you got into?
I would have to say it was Batman. I had the full, Batman towel that had the front of the suit, and then the cape on the back, and you put your head through it.
Yeah.
It was a big long towel, and yeah, when I was 6, I loved that.
Well, and obviously, having the nickname Batt, it went hand in hand. So.
Yeah, and that's something one of my roommates in art school figured out. I had never thought about it or anything like that, and one day he stopped me in the hall, and he's like, Matt, your name's really been bugging me kind of since we met. And I was like, what do you mean, dude? What's wrong with my name? And he's like, no, it's no offense, dude. But you just switched the M and the B around in your first and last name. You're Batt Manning.
Yeah.
And so Batt just kind of became a nickname.
Yeah, and like when you do your cover arts and you have like a little signature up, it's perfect. It's like you know who did that just from a glance.
Yeah, my hope is that it's kind of a sign of quality. That's always been my hope.
What are you working on now?
I'm currently actually in between assignments after having relaunched Batman with Batman Rebirth #1, and worked on the first 5 issues of that. And after the launch, I needed some time off actually. I find every 8 to 10 years I kind of need to take 3 to 6 months off to kind of recharge the batteries to keep going.
Do you go camping, or do you go are you a mountain or an ocean type?
I'm both actually. I've lived in Santa Monica for 17 years, so I'm someone who likes to cycle on the beach and then ski during the ski season. You know, the snow has been really awesome this year. I recommend getting up to Mammoth if you can.
Sounds pretty cool. Again, I'm a little bit partial to like Whistler and things. I like, but Mount Rainier has like White Pass. So
Okay. Yeah, like Whistler's great, but I have to be honest with you. When I was living in British Columbia, it wasn't open yet.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's right. Because you said you were like 19, 18, right?
Yeah, like I grew up on Vancouver Island, so I grew up skiing Mount Washington.
Any advice to anybody that's starting in the art world? What would you tell them?
Draw every day. Draw every day, because if drawing is discovery, and if you're not drawing or inking every day, what happens is that, say you have a breakthrough the day before, if you don't draw the next day, it actually typically goes away. And then you end up actually back behind where you were when you had that breakthrough, if that makes sense.
It does. It's the same thing. Yeah, it does.
It goes to an Isaac Asimov quote that I love. He was asked how he was able to do so much work, and he said it was because he did it every day, even if it was just for an hour, even if it was just a poem. He wrote every day. So that's the same kind of philosophy I try and bring forth in my work, and I think it's important. That's how you really get better.
Well, thank you so much. Again, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Bigfoot.
Thank you.